Hi, welcome to Miss Richardson's U.S. History 5-Minute Lectures. This information will be U.S. Note 6.13, Clinton's Scandals. It includes information aligned with the final section on your Unit 6 study guide. Now remember, you control the lecture, so use your study guide to figure out what's important, pause, write down any questions, and rewatch as often as you need to. Let's go ahead and get started. You've now learned about Clinton's actions as president, both in the U.S. and abroad. I mentioned that he was impeached, and I now want to tell you more about that. So that's what this set of notes are about. As I mentioned previously, the Republicans, under the guidance of Newt Gingrich, won the majority in the House of Representatives in 1994, and again in 96 and 98. Clinton battled them fiercely over many aspects of his policies, including the budget. There was even a brief government shutdown over the budget in 95 when the Republicans disliked Clinton's proposed budget. So Clinton prevailed with his balanced budget in the end. Now, after years of this fighting between Clinton and Congress, the House Republicans brought impeachment charges against Clinton in 1998. So he was charged with perjury and obstruction of justice. So the way impeachment works is that when the House of Representatives investigates and then determines there's enough evidence to charge a president with a crime, in this case Clinton, then they bring charges against him, and that's impeachment. Now, in this case, there were two areas they focused on: perjury and obstruction of justice. After the House of Representatives brings the charges, the Senate then hears the actual case and determines guilt or innocence. Thereby, they determine the punishment and whether or not the president actually remains in office. In Clinton's case, the charges were in relation to his testimony regarding an incident that had happened while he was governor of Arkansas. In that case, Clinton was not on trial, but rather a witness in the trial. He was being charged with lying under oath, and mostly about this affair that he had, and saying he had not had the affair, and obstructing justice by lying about it. So Americans were glued to their televisions during the impeachment trial. We'd only ever had two presidents who were impeached in our entire history. Andrew Johnson, after the Civil War, who was also found not guilty, and mostly he was being punished for being Southern. And then Nixon was in danger of being impeached, but he resigned rather than face trial and guilt. So this was only the second time we ever had the trial. So now Clinton was on trial, and everybody wanted to know more. And the trial had the makings of a scandal. Sex, lies, power. Everybody wanted to know what happened. Ultimately, Clinton was found not guilty by the Senate. That meant that there was no punishment and Clinton remained president. However, this did taint the rest of his presidency, and it further damaged the trust Americans placed in their own government. More and more Americans felt like those in power could not be trusted, that they were corrupt, and the government was not in touch with the average American. This feeling that had begun in the 70s continues even through today. So Clinton was a success in a lot of his domestic challenges and programs, but in this area, this is what he's most remembered for, and it really tainted and blurred his other actions as president. And this is the end of the U.S. Note 6.13. I hope you learned something, and I will see you in class tomorrow.